Okay, so here's a huge question for our time. How does a massive regulator, like the entire European Union, actually encourage super fast moving tech like AI without sacrificing safety and our fundamental rights? It's a real balancing act. To figure out the EU's answer, we're going to dive into a really interesting concept from their new AI Act. This explainer is based on the work of Professor Vihar Kiskinov, and we're talking all about something called the AI regulatory sandbox.
So that's really the core of it, isn't it? On one hand, you've got this incredible, world changing potential of artificial intelligence you want to unleash. But on the other, you absolutely need strong guardrails to keep everyone safe. The EU's AI Act actually has a fascinating solution to this puzzle, and it's called an AI regulatory sandbox. To make sure we get a really clear picture, here's our plan. We'll kick things off by defining exactly what a sandbox is. Then we'll dig into its main goals and how it actually works. After that, we'll take a quick look at how this idea became law and, probably most importantly, why this all matters for the future of AI.
All right, first things first. What exactly are we talking about here? I mean, the word sandbox probably makes you think of a playground, and to be honest, that's not a bad way to start thinking about it.
So the official definition calls it a controlled environment, but what does that really mean? Well, just think of it like a safe, supervised space where companies, especially the smaller startups, can build and test out their new AI systems. And the best part? They get direct guidance from the regulators themselves. It's literally a place to innovate, to experiment, and yeah, even to make a few mistakes without putting the public at risk. And this all happens before the product ever gets released.
And you should know, this isn't just a friendly suggestion. The AI Act actually makes it mandatory. Every single EU member state has to set up at least one of these sandboxes by August 2026. But what's really cool is the flexibility. Countries can actually team up to create joint sandboxes, or they can set them up on a more local level. Even the EU's own public agencies can have their own dedicated sandbox to test AI for things like public services.
So we know what they are, but what are they actually trying to do? Well, the law is super clear on this. It lays out 5 key objectives. These 5 goals really get to the heart of what the whole sandbox strategy is about. First, it's about providing legal certainty, so innovators aren't just guessing their way through a bunch of complex new rules. It's also about fostering innovation to make sure the EU stays competitive. And this is a big one. It's about helping smaller companies get their products to market faster. Plus, it's a two-way street. The regulators get to learn from the tech, which leads to smarter rules down the road, and everyone gets to benefit from sharing what works across the entire union.
Okay, let's get practical. How does a company's journey through one of these sandboxes actually work? The Act lays out a pretty clear operational framework.
The whole journey is basically a 4-step process. It all starts when an innovator applies to get in. Now, once they're accepted, the authority doesn't just sit back and watch. They're in there providing active guidance and support. That leads to the testing phase, where the AI system gets validated in this safe, controlled space. And throughout this whole partnership, they're identifying risks and figuring out how to handle them, all to make sure the safest possible version of the tech is ready for the public. So you might be wondering, what's in it for the companies? Why would they even bother with this? Well, the incentive is actually pretty powerful. When they're done, they get an official exit report. And this is not just a certificate you hang on the wall. The law says this report has to be taken positively into account during the whole approval process. The formal hoops you have to jump through to get your product on the market. Long story short, if you do well in the sandbox, you could get a serious head start in the race to get your AI out to customers. And this just shows you the clever balance of risk and reward they've set up. On one side, the company is still totally liable for any damage their AI might cause. That's the risk. But on the other side, if they play by the rules and follow the plan in good faith, they get a huge reward. They're exempt from what could be massive administrative fines. It's a classic carrot and stick approach, really, all designed to encourage responsible experimentation. This whole idea didn't just pop up out of nowhere. If you trace how it evolved through the whole lawmaking process, you can really see how the EU refined its thinking over time. The journey of this one rule is pretty fascinating. The first proposal back in 2021 was really direct. Every country must create a sandbox, period. But by the middle of 2022, the thinking had shifted a bit. It became more voluntary, more flexible, changing the wording to may establish. But then, as the final law came together in 2024, they reached a new consensus. The mandatory rule came back, but this time, it kept all the flexibility and the collaborative spirit that had developed along the way. It just goes to show you this was a really deliberate process to find that perfect balance.
So after all that, let's step back.
Why are these sandboxes so important? What's the big picture takeaway here? Here's the most crucial points. This is way more than just another rule. It's a completely new way of thinking about how to regulate advanced technology. Instead of some top-down rigid rulebook that gets outdated in 5 minutes, the EU is trying to build a dynamic system. It's a framework where the rulemakers and the innovators actually work together, learn from each other, and adapt the rules based on what they see in the real world. It's designed to be agile enough to keep up with AI itself.
When you look at it this way, it creates a clear win-win. For the innovators, especially the little guys, it means less guesswork and a quicker path to launch. And for the rest of us, for society, it means we get safer, more thoroughly tested AI systems and regulators who are making smarter rules for the future. It's a system that's really designed to build a competitive and trustworthy AI ecosystem for everyone. And that leaves us with one final, big question. These sandboxes, they're a bold, ambitious experiment. They're basically the EU's big bet that working together will get better results than fighting against each other. So the question we're left with is, will they actually succeed in creating this vibrant new ecosystem for responsible AI, or will they just end up being another complicated layer of bureaucracy? The answer to that is going to shape the future of technology, not just in Europe, but probably for the whole world.